Welcome back, everyone, to the Beauty Way. We're so excited today because we have a very dear friend of mine, Ariel. And Ariel has been in my reality for about, I'm going to say 4 years ish, somewhere around that. We've met a couple of times in person, but ultimately we have connected mostly online. We've not lived in the same country, so we've met in a couple of different places around the world, including Australia. But also, Ariel was on my trip to Egypt last year. And so that was super fun that we got to connect in that way. And so Ariel has many, many different magical talents and different things that she does. And I'd love her to share a little bit about that. But she is a channel, she is a very powerful individual, and she has lots of magical tools in her tool belt. And so it's really exciting to have her here and have a few great conversations. And so, did you want to start, Ariel, by sharing a little bit about what it is that you offer to the world?
Thank you. Thank you, Kirsty. Thank you, Carissa, for having me. Thank you, everyone who are tuning in. And great honor to be here in the Beauty Way. It's always a bit hard to explain exactly what I do because I'm trying. I'll do my best. Because it's constantly evolving, right? I mean, a lot of us can relate. It's like as soon as I identify myself as someone, then it's like, oh, okay, I think I'm shifting already because a lot of us are shifting so fast. But in an essence, I am a guide and a mentor, guiding people in their ascension process, in their spiritual awakening process, and also facilitating sacred journeys, whether it's internal, taking deep journey within through ceremonies or one-on-one private sessions or longer-term mentorship, or through pilgrimages to different powerful sacred sites, vortexes of the world, which I really, really love doing. And I have the honor for doing that a lot for myself. And now it's my journey, it's my mission to take others to share the codes that I have received from and the blessings I have received from all these beautiful sacred sites around the world. Yeah.
Yes, it's so
Yeah.
exciting. And Ariel has a trip coming up in March to Egypt. And that a little aspect of her mission was activated during our time there last year, which was very exciting. One of the most amazing things about traveling with Ariel is how incredibly organized she is and how she has all these really epic connections. And so we got to have a private experience in the pyramid and a private experience at the Sphinx.
Sphinx. Hmm.
And the private experience in the pyramid was in the evening, and there was no other people there. It closes at like 5 o'clock or something like that. And we got to go in at 9 p.m. So it was in the dark. It was a lot cooler inside for those who have traveled to Egypt and been in the pyramids. It's very, very hot. And it was still hot, but it was a lot cooler. And through those connections, it's kind of, I guess, activated something really epic where she's taking these external journeys for people as well. And so this is your first one in March, right?
Yeah, the first one officially. I think I have
Yeah.
been like giving people advices because people like one of my friends is like, "Where are you now? Like, where are you now?" And they say, "Oh, now you're Asian." Like, so like, yeah, I'm basically everywhere. Like a different place every month or every week. Sometimes it's a
Yes.
bit unreal. But that's the soul path that I chose at this stage.
Yeah.
But anyway, like so I have been like people have been asking me for advice when they come to Egypt, and then so I've been like either sharing my contacts or that, and I because I did a lot of these pilgrimages myself, so surprisingly, but as a profile 224, like if you know you are human design, right? Profile 24, I'm a hermit, and I just know a lot of things. Like sometimes just like don't ask me why. I thought everyone knows
Mm.
it. Like so everyone should be doing this way, right? But actually, it's not. So I didn't even realize that it's a gift that I could manage to travel to all these different places, like pilgrimages. Because I did I thought I would take off for like 4 months pilgrimage, like from England, like lock everything 4 months out, but then end up with 2 years. But like before, I also did a lot like by myself. So it was just managing me, just taking me myself in one piece, traveling, relocating myself in around the world, but at the same time, doing really deep spiritual alchemy, like expanding my consciousness. Because when we go to the sacred site, especially when your frequency is ready, you just directly upload so much to your field. It's like you plug in and boop, like tons of things. So, because that is also part of my soul path. That is consciously actually plug in and upload and download, doing great work as well. So I was proud of myself for doing that, like being able to facilitate all these like human aspects, managing myself, like never missing a flight. Actually, I have never missed a, missed a flight with so many that I've done and relocate myself and meeting so many people along the way while doing all these like spiritual stuff myself. So and Egypt is like Egypt is a portal that like I found it. Of course, like everyone will interact with different locations differently, but also Egypt is right now is so activated. Like through the last decades or so, so many starseeds, so many grid workers have been to Egypt, and then like government also, even though they don't understand, but actually they are doing a lot of things that are guided by higher force. But they thought it just all reasonable, makes sense, but actually there's a lot of things behind because councils of light are actually very involved in the human affairs. So I am very yeah, just very like so in Egypt you will feel very activated in many ways. And every time I went to Egypt, a different aspect of me got activated. Yeah, so the last time that we went there, like activate me, I don't know, you should be a you should be a like sacred journey curator. Like not exactly a guy because I have a really amazing Egyptian brothers there that are Egyptologists. That is Egyptologist, and I have like yeah, I mean I'm very blessed because usually people like go to Egypt is like okay, what to do, but I just have like I just met the most epic people there, and then somehow like of course it's always a soul contract in some way that we just like reuniting with our soul family, and I have got so many amazing support there, and I thought like well if I it's like I need to bring people to it's a need. It's like I need to bring people to Egypt first like for the ascension journey and receiving the spiritual support, interacting with sacred sites, cause so powerful, so activated right now, and also to experience the Egyptian way because there's so many like misconceptions, when foreigners like come to visit like Egypt, they would think they have certain projection about how the people are. Of course, like in tourism industry there are a lot of mix of people, but but I think 99% of the people that I met in Egypt with different trips, they are super hospitable. But mostly it's men that I interact because mostly it's the men that do the outward facing job. And one of the surprising code, of course, other than those star activation, stargate, cosmic remembrance, and priestesses, codes. Other than that, I found one of the very interesting healing that we can receive, whether you're a feminine body or masculine body, going there is to learning how to be supported by the divine masculine.
Yeah,
Like
I
I
would agree
had
with
to
that.
get, yeah, I
Yeah.
had to get over the I have to be comfortable that oh the man is serving me. Oh,
Mm.
can I cook you a meal? Or can I clean your house now? Can I clean your room now? Or can I like serve you a watermelon? Like
I,
everything. Yeah, right.
I,
You
yeah,
feel
Mm.
that. Yeah.
Beautiful.
I found that to be one of the really beautiful things that I experienced from interacting with the local people as well, because even just walking from our hotel across to a like a restaurant, the road was quite busy, and there would be
Yeah.
the men from the hotel would say, "Where are you going?" And we would say, "Oh, we're going across to the restaurant across the road," and they would say, "Okay, great, we will walk you across the road."
Yeah.
And you're right, it was a really beautiful thing to receive,
Yeah.
in every
Yeah.
way, that all of the service is done by the men, and it is a really beautiful thing, particularly as a woman, to receive that.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, that's a lot of healing. Surprising that I didn't realize because I didn't realize this will be happening, and because a lot of people think, oh, it's a Muslim country, like female maybe like people have their own projection, but I
Mm.
was like, wow, it's like almost the opposite because they have the queen codes. They have the queen like like through the history they have queens that they really respect and revere. I would go into a hotel and then it's like, oh, good morning, my queen. I was like, oh, okay. The server was like, good morning, my queen. And I was like, oh, I can take that. I'm gonna absorb this.
Totally. Do you feel like do you put down the kind of the aspect of you connecting with all these people and creating all these threads of connection down to your
Mm.
line 4 in your human design profile.
Oh yeah.
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 It's a great
Absolutely.
combination, the 2 and the 4.
Yeah.
And so for those of you who are newish to human design, we have 6 profile lines and they all represent different things. And we are all a combination of 2 as our main, but we have influences of all of them throughout our chart typically. And so I'm actually at 5-1, and Kirsty, I think you're a 3-5.
5-3.
5-3.
3-5.
Yeah,
Yeah.
3-5. Yeah, yeah,
Oh.
yeah. Yes, and so it's interesting because as the 1, and then you're the 2, and then Kirsty's the 3. For that first line, we do really learn things so differently. And so for a 1, I'm an investigator. I go deep dive and I like look for all of the things. And then as a 2, Ariel, which I think is very funny because it's this beautiful natural, and a lot of people see a line 2 and they go, how do they know how to do all these things? And then there's the line 3 who gets to kind of fumble their way through it and trial and error. And so and then the other three have different meanings as well. But and as I said, the 4 is like a community kind of connections. There's a big connections aspect, and so that's why I asked that question. Yeah.
I
Yeah, I
love
love
that you
it.
flow that in. Yeah.
I've actually got a question around your travels, Ariel. And the question was, when did you realize, because we've got people, listeners, like at all different stages of their ascension. When did you realize that your travel was more than just travel, that you were actually doing pilgrimages?
Great questions. I'm tuning into like first it's surprisingly like traveling has always been in my blood anyway. I was even have a brief stint, is it stint, as a flight attendant because I love traveling so much for one and a half year. So like for me, like relocating myself physically around the world has been like something that I felt called to, but wasn't like really a spiritual aspect. I think it's, oh sorry if I'm making noise. Um, I think it's more like my great work codex start activated when I was with Gabby's magic school. Like, yeah, so Gabby is a great friend of us, and because she's like full on grid worker. So for those who
We've
are
had Gabby on the podcast. Yeah.
great,
Yeah.
yes, yes. So like she's a full on grid galactic queen. Oh, I love her. And so in like so I was in her magic school, and then so like because activation is like that, right? When you feel someone that fully embody, you actually receive the codes and get that activate when you're ready. So, and I start to like, because I know that like when I start to activate the grid working, and I was back then I was in Bali, and then I just start to like sort of like work with the energy grid in wherever I go, or just like draw symbols, like doing the Doctor Strange kind of thing, and all opening photos and all that. Um, that helped me to get deeper connection with energy around, especially in land, in rocks, in crystals, in water, in trees. Uh, I think it's just a natural awakening that it's just natural. It's like I go to a place, I will like say if I go to a temple, I will already know that like what I should do, what I shouldn't do.
Mm.
Like even growing up, like I think some I think we can just tune into the hints that like it's not like oh it has to be like a divine being, the angel come in front of you and telling that oh you're going to be a spiritual pilgrimage, but notice that like how we actually co-create with places. Pilgrimage doesn't have to be in sacred sites. Like sacred sites actually, sorry, like what I'm saying is like sacred sites can be all around. Like sometimes if we do touristy stuff, like if we go to say yeah, just like a lot of people travel to Egypt for example, right? They do a tourist purpose, they don't know, but unconsciously usually they are interacting with the dimensional field anyway. But I think it's about like when we just tune in and following our impulses, that we feel like there's something that is different from what we were told from the history or the tourist guide, or you feel that okay, there is just besides just checking in or taking a selfie, I feel like there's like a deep reference, that I feel that makes me feel something. Even people going to a church, like if you're walking to say in Rome or Milan, you walk into a church and you feel like, whoa, that's the thing. I think it's more about like we just keep following those impulses, and at the
Yeah, I
more we
love
connect,
that.
yeah, the places will show us. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that because we've talked so much about presence. And so that's what you were just speaking about, presence and reverence. And when you have that, you realize, oh, this is actually, even if you don't, if you haven't spoken that language, you could realize that this is actually me co-creating and communing with the land. And
Mm.
it's more than just travel. So yeah, thank you for describing it that way.
Mm.
Thank
It's
you.
interesting because that's just reminded me that I think I've told the original story of how I was inspired to kind of bite the bullet and do that trip to Egypt 2 years ago. But one of the aspects that I can't remember if I spoke to or not was that I did a little bit of a deep dive into my astrocartography because I was basically trying to determine whether I needed to go now or whether I could wait another 12 months or 18 months because the timing was kind of crap for me. Like it just really wasn't like it wasn't super easy for many reasons. And I was literally in the start of like a really new venture that I was creating and there was so many things happening but I felt this really intense pull to go. And so I consulted with my astrocartography to see. And actually, part of how that was inspired was through you, Ariel, because I've seen you share about your astrocartography before. And I think I even reached out to you that day and I was like, hey, babe, like, can you? I think I even asked you if you did sessions, but I didn't. The timeline of me questioning whether I was going collapsed and between. And so
Like
I ended up
exactly.
just going. But it's funny because I know that the astrocartography, so for people who don't know, it's basically an
Mm.
aspect of astrology that is like location-based astrology. And so it's like where in the world you're kind of influenced by different frequencies at different periods of your life, and some of them are for your whole life, right? Depending on what's going on in your astrology. That's my very, very limited understanding of what it is. I'm not even
Yeah.
by any means an astrologer, but I know that you have followed this. How much does that influence where you go and where you live, Ariel?
Oh yeah, a lot, a lot.
Yeah.
But it's funny actually because I used to give astrocartography sessions as well as a one-off. But right now I feel like it's like that. I only do it when people like request, especially usually by referral as well. Because I felt it's like it's very useful. But now I felt like I will only not reserve, but like only do it for people that are in my longer term container, because it has to be fit into certain contexts.
Mm.
I find it because when I do, because I know that a lot of Mings like you might see even advertisements say that, oh, this is the place that you get married, this is the place that you will find abundance or whatever. Well, I wish that it's that easy. Or by 30 you'll be like, but yeah, so be careful. Like just saying that if you are actually see those ads, be careful because it's the astrocartography is like it's like when we enter Earth, right? Like as a star beings, right? Or not star beings, as a soul that incarnated, right? You chose to enter Earth, like being born, at a very specific time space continuum. That's why your timing and your location and all these codes from the star or human design we call the neutrinos is imprinted into your DNA. That's why you're coded in a specific way. And it's funny when you enter, say at that moment, if you enter through London or if you enter through Hong Kong, like I did, there are aspects of the stars interacting, the angles of the interacting with Earth is different. So that is a different angles is information. The angles, numbers, color, these are all information and codes. So it will manifest different ways. So we will usually born with like an astrocartography chart. Like usually it's like a map. You see the world map, and then you see different lines. There are different type of lines. Because astrocartography is a one type of relocation astrology. There's also other tools you can use to find the relocation, and so basically is how you interact with certain places. So if you were born in certain places, you have like a certain type of coding. But then if at the same time you come in the Earth in a different doorway, it will be a different different informations. So you have those, and but so when you relocate, you actually like, oh, I said, well, okay, in case you're, so there are two ways to look at it. It can be like when you travel to different places, you actually got different aspect of yourself get activated. Because it's like, oh, instead of me born in Hong Kong, it's like, what if I'm born in England at that specific moment? So it's like, oh, if you were born in England at that specific moment, then your houses and all that changes. So, and then also we can look at timing, as in, so, but sometimes like funny is that like if I just rely on astrocartography, for example, I wouldn't pick Dubai as my base
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
there isn't much like big things happening like here because there's no bad locations. What I want to say to a lot of the audience, if you are listening, that like this, don't be afraid that, oh, if I'm travel to, this is a bad line or good lines. Like, no, it's about how we use those archetypal energies. Some people will be avoiding certain, like say Saturn lines or Pluto lines because they usually is quite like heavy and intense when we don't know how to use those energy because they are just aspects of our consciousness. So, but when we know how to integrate and interact with different aspects of our own consciousness because it's just all part of us, then we can have a different experience. Doesn't mean that it's got easier because like Saturn line is Saturn line that have certain mechanics and energy, and same as Pluto. But like say Pluto can be legacy wealth, but also can be death and rebirth.
Mm.
So it depends on how we learn to play, learn to interact the energies. So yeah, timing can be one thing. So I usually, my process is like, I will always ask for guidance, my inner, my high counsel, my high self. Like we all have our higher self, our high counsel. So the first step is always like listening to not my head, but my heart, like the impulses, like, oh, I really feel like Egypt. But it's like, oh, it doesn't make sense. But I really want to go. It's like you feel like it's the heart, it's the impulses. Your higher self speak to you through impulses and excitement. Then I tune in, okay, but when? Especially sometimes for me, because I have so much freedom, sometimes too much freedom. It's like there's no structure, and I, yeah. Sometimes like yeah, if you have a job, if you have a family, then you have certain structures around your life, right? I'm single. I have no, no job. My job is myself. I work however I like. There's a lot of freedom, which is but really how to like okay with so much freedom, you really need to know how to make sense of everything and create aligned structures. But beautifully, I have different tools. So I will tune in and then I will follow my authority, human design authority to making decision because astrology, astrocartography is beautiful because they give you so much information. It can give you a lot of information about how you interact. Like, say, I was just actually looking at my chart of astrocartography. Like, if I want to like have more, say last month, if I want to be in the spotlight, be in the authority, being seen as the authority, as the teacher, like being like working on my career, I should be going to France. Like, which was my original trip that I was supposed to instead of Copenhagen. So if I follow just the astrocartography, I would go there. However, that timeline actually like very disruptively dissolved because there was also like a huge lesson with previous partnerships that need to dissolve, and so it just closed. But then I have to let go. It's like yeah, okay. So astrocartography told me one thing, but what my soul told me is that it doesn't mean that I have to physically locate to there with to receive that energy. I think that's what I want to say. You can also remotely, like just by interacting with the person that was already there, like that was original who was supposed to host me. But then it's like, but a lot of the things for the past, it was with my long term ex boyfriend. Like, it was supposed to host me. It was also like, but it was like, yeah, exactly. That's have to. The lessons were already learned even
Mm.
before I relocate, like
Mm.
went there. Yeah. So long
I,
story. I talk a lot. I hope that makes
I
sense in
think
some way.
I think it's also like there are things that we want on a human level, like what you said, being in the spotlight, working on your career, but your soul doesn't give two rats about that. And so your soul is like, yeah, we could go there, or we could get this other piece of our ascension that is not necessarily what your human part of you thinks you want or need. And your soul always wants something different. And so even if these points are really powerful for these things that you perceive like at your consciousness to be something that's important to you right now, unless there's this heart drawn pull, which is the soul song that's taking us to different places, then
Yeah.
it's not necessarily right or correct or true for your soul. And so
Mm,
it's really interesting because I think when we read into any of these like different modalities, whether it be the astrocartography or our astrology or our human design, when we're really coming at it from that mental level of like, yeah, I want success. And so therefore I'm going to go to this successful point on the planet. Then at that mental level, that's probably when those Saturn lines are going to feel a lot more intense than when,
Yeah.
and that's not to say our soul doesn't want that, but it's almost like we're kind of going almost not against, but we're sort of in resistance to the natural flow of where our soul's wanting to take us. And so, yeah, I love that. I love that you followed where you were being drawn rather than this place that symbolizes or could potentially activate this aspect of you. And I love that you can connect into that at a distance level as well, particularly when you've
Yeah.
been to a place. Like we can connect into those multiple different timelines and aspects of ourselves, like when we travel places, past versions of ourselves that have been there before, future versions of ourselves that are being there and in different time space continuums. And the same is true. There are lots of places that we've never been, and yet we've been there.
mm,
It's like when we
mm,
went to Egypt, it's a memory. It's not like, oh, I'm learning these new things. It's like, no, I've been here on several occasions. I'm just now having a memory
mm,
because I'm seeing it and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And the same is true, like you said, for less sacred considered sites, but there's still codes that are held in locations all over the world and actually in our
Absolutely. Yeah.
backyards and down the street, and wherever we're really consciously present ultimately.
mm.
Mm.
Yeah, I love it because I've not really looked a lot into astrocartography. So just hearing you talk about that, it's actually piqued my interest now. I'm like, oh, I need to find out more.
Very interesting. Yeah, it does
Yeah.
that. Yeah, it is. I do think it's very helpful modality, but it has to be in a certain context. That's
Mm,
why I don't just good one off because I could, I could, but because when we look at it from a multidimensional lens,
Mm.
it's give us different information. Yeah.
mm,
Of course.
Yes. Like I said, I wouldn't pick Dubai if it was just basing
Mm.
on astrocartography. Like, but because I also like connect with my higher self, like councils of light that I work with, they are my mentors and they are guiding me to look at it. Yeah. So follow my excitement.
Mm.
That's the most
Totally.
important thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's
And
such a beautiful way to live. Follow my
mm,
excitement. Mm,
Yeah.
yeah. And so because when I was looking at the Egypt piece, I don't actually know because my understanding is astrocartography is more typically for relocation, right? It's like where you live, it's not just travel. Is that right? Or is it also for traveling like short term?
Both. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you can also track the transit.
Yes.
So you can track the you can
And
track the
that's,
transit, which is yeah. Sometimes I found it very helpful, especially when I'm like really like say deciding, like okay now or later in 5 months or
yeah,
in 6 months. Then
exactly.
it's like okay, like I need some. But sometimes it's like the universe will tell you to like but the universe will also sometimes tell me that like Ariel, tune into your inner essence rather than relying on the app.
Totally. Yeah,
I
yeah.
would like
I
have
mean,
to sometimes say, hey, I really need some astrocartography, help me, please. But then when I look at it again, I guess like there's no way I could use that to decide. So I
yeah,
just have this like, okay, I know the lesson is still okay. The app is an app
yeah.
because sometimes, I think like also technology is constantly evolving as well. There might be more things like say if the apps doesn't show up certain things, doesn't mean it's not there.
mm,
Right.
Yeah,
And
totally. Yeah,
like right now, the technology is only showing us just whatever is available. But
exactly.
our multidimensional self have can interact with what 12 dimension information. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
But
Yeah.
timing, I use it a lot for timing. Yeah, I use it a lot for
Yeah.
time for timing as well.
Such
Um,
a beautiful point that you just made because, like, so often when we're thinking like that, I want success, so I should go here, we're coming from that perspective of ego. And when we're in that place, we can't see the bigger picture. The bigger picture can see us, but we can't see the bigger picture. And so that little point that you just made, I feel was really important about again, follow
mm,
your heart, follow your internal guidance, follow
yeah.
your soul, and allow
Mm.
yourself to move beyond your ego. Use your own sense of humility to feel.
And it
Mm,
just highlights the limitations of our perception, right? Because
Yeah.
because going to this other location that has you unravel from whatever it was around this previous relationship, whether that means saying no to France, whether that means going to Thailand, on either end of that spectrum, that unraveling piece of making a different choice or doing something different may very well be the key to the success. And people have this perspective
exactly.
of
Yeah.
like the access to my success is this visibility piece or this piece where I all of a
Yeah.
sudden go viral or whatever. But actually, all these other micro choices and micro, like when we unravel from our enmeshment, when we unravel from these patterns that keep us limited in our capacity for receiving abundance or whatever it is, they're actually the keys and the tickets to our success as opposed to the thing that we perceive to be that, like money, numbers, etc.
Yeah, absolutely. I was trying to make that point, but with my speech I couldn't. But I'm so happy that you are putting it so nicely. That's what I'm trying to make. Oh, so
You
great that
obviously
like
did, babe, because
totally.
it's come out, it's
You did.
true.
Yeah, you made
I'm so happy that
it.
you nailed it. Yeah, that's like so. I felt like I think it's also because of the level of inner work that I have done already, the refinement is like instead of for me to relocate all the way, like not relocate, like just travel briefly to that point in the planet to experience that, I just experienced that already remotely, and
Mhm.
that definitely helped me because that was because I don't remember exactly about that line is what planet was that, but it's about like a lot about helping my career because everything is interconnected, right? How I basically the lesson was like, okay, I have to very be sure that this is not the kind of relationship or how I would treat it or friendships even that I want to keep. I have to just bless and let go of that friendship because it was very clear that like it's not what I desire, what I accept, what I allow in my field anymore. So that's definitely will help me about my career in that sense, right? Because how we do one thing is how we do everything. How we allow ourselves to be treated in terms of just a personal interrelationship that is the same as our clients, our business partners,
Mm.
or even the universe at large. It's like, and I'm not available for that. So yeah, definitely it's all interconnected and helping. Yeah, thank you so much for putting it there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I before we change subject, did you have anything else on that one, Kirst?
No.
I wanted to talk about 2027.
I could go, but I'm not going to because I know what you want to talk about.
Otherwise, it's
So
5 hours.
I mean, I feel like you can do the introduction to what it even is, Ariel, because I feel like my 2027 understanding is very basic just from a human design level, but I know it comes in through the gene keys and through all these other aspects, and there's different pieces. And so I'm really curious to hear what the, I guess what your perception or what your kind of collective of astrology and gene keys and human design kind of say about the sort of next phase that we're going into, not just next year, but also in this. We're about to start the new year. We're about to start the fire horse year in like 2 weeks, and almost exactly actually, just a bit over. And yeah, so I'm curious what you have as a perception for, and I'm not actually sure whether the Chinese year is part of what you look at or whatever, but
Yeah, yeah,
I'm curious.
yeah. Awesome, thank you. Oh, right. Yeah, I mean, as we can all feel it, it's like things have been shifting so far. We know that some big thing is coming, right? So, with the gene keys and human design, we have this prophecy. Gene keys called the prophecy that 2027 there will be a whole new consciousness that will be birthed. Now, like, it doesn't mean that we will be all like, ascend to whatever dimension of physical being. No, it's not that. But like, it's also that is coincide with the 2027 is the shifting of the precision of equinox. That's actually based on human design. Raoul predicted, not predicted, I think it's actually something you can measure, like with the changing, because the precision of equinox is like the degree of, I'm not scientifically know exactly how, but it's just the wobbling of the earth along the axis. Like there's the shift every however long year. I don't remember exactly, but just knowing that the 2027, the precision of the axis, almost like the wobbling, the axis will shift to the gene keys 55. So gene key 55, if so, for people that audience that might be new to gene keys, is like a very high level explanation of gene keys is very, very close to the I Ching of Chinese, the Book of Change. So there are 64 codons of DNA in our body, right? And there's also the 64 gene keys and 64 hexagram if we're Book of Change in Chinese I Ching. So the Chinese I Ching was the wisdom that was channeled thousands of years ago. That back then, because we have to understand that always there is whatever is available depending on the context of our evolution level of that age, that era. So previously, when like the 64 of hexagrams, people use it for definition, or like for fortune telling. But even like the kings, like dynasty, they will predict, whether we go to war or not, or when, the harvest and all that. So they use it a lot on a practical, mundane level. Fast forward, why gene keys is relevant is Richard Rudd, which is the founder of Gene Keys, he has his own spiritual epiphany, and throughout the decades, he also like worked closely with Raoul on human design. So he was already teaching human design alongside Raoul, but he has his own understanding of how like this sort of diversion a little bit about how they know that some big change is coming, but it's about which direction. So Richard really believed that it's going to be it's actually a golden age for humanity, which is also a lot of the channels that also receive, right? Also, I think different different Aboriginal tribes, they were predicting that it's like or maybe some people say the second coming of Christ, but maybe what is not a person, is a consciousness, right? So
Also,
and
in the Palladian agenda that was channeled by Barbara Han Clow, they speak of the golden age as well at this time.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and also Sophia Code by Kyra.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's sort of like from different places we know. Hey, we're going there. It's more like, are you guys on board or not? This is where we're heading. Is you're on board or not? And but also matching with the precision of equinox is the Gene Key 55. This Gene Key is about freedom. So we have all these codons, our DNA, and have a mathematical similarity with the gene keys and the book of change. Yeah, I hope I'm not like jumping too many. Okay, but I'm sure the multidimensionally the codes are there. So this is not so much as a mental understanding, but activators. Okay, so that like with the gene key 55. This is going to be a huge change because we are shifting collectively from victimhood, because all of the shadows that we are experiencing, all its different flavors and varieties, is about victimhood. It's about we forgetting our spiritual inheritance, that we are God and Goddess, we are divine. And the gene key, this is actually gene key 55 is the only gene key that only have like two keywords, because usually each gene key have a shadow that we are here to overcome, and then a shadow above is the gift, where we transform the shadow into gift, And then a siddhi is the highest expression. Siddhi is in the Sanskrit word superpower, divine gift. That is actually the saint, like where the saint previously have demonstrated those like super incredible ability, which is actually a precursor of what humanity is going forward. The saints, the ascended master, they're showing us the way that, the beauty way that this is where we are ascending to. Yeah, they give us a roadmap. So
Love that.
27 is it will be the dawn of the new golden age. It's not like things are just changing overnight, but that's why. But it's almost like it's a movement that you cannot. It's coded in the star. There's no way we can stop it. It's there already. You're just here for the ride or not. And now with the year right before 2027 is the equinox. Sorry, not the equinox. That's what I'm talking about. It's the year of the closing door that that Richard of Gene Keys coded, because it feels that way. It's almost like, okay, yeah, we're heading that way. Now it's like the door is closing, guys, the spaceship, and you just like go, come on. But to be able to, it's a frequency. So to enter that realm of God is frequency. It's not like we're all literally going on the spaceship and take off, but it's about matching our frequency vibration. That's why so many things have to purge out on so many levels, collective level, planetary level, and personal level. But everyone is also going at different stages as well. So the year of closing door is like an invitation for us that, okay, get our affairs in order, like look at the houses, like clean up the house, whatever that needs to be clear out that no longer serve the higher dimension that we are heading, that have to be out. So that's why it can be also more intense, because most of the time it wasn't that these shadows or these difficulties or challenges were not there. It was hidden. It was under the carpet. But now it's like, no, we are renovating the whole house. Everything must be revealed. Yeah, and also matching a lot with astrology as well, because through this last 1.5 years, we're still in the process of it. So many outer planets. So outer planets are those planets that move around the zodiac slower than our personal planet like Mars and Venus or Sun or Mercury. But outer planets affect more generation of the collective. And basically all of the outer planets that we are aware of, we generally draw guidance from, they have gradually shift their signs. So imagine like usually these planets stay in one sign for like a good chunk of time. Say Saturn for 14, 15 years have just is moving towards Aries. That's why 20 February is a huge day that I'm hosting an in-person event here as well. So astrologically, we have like outer planets shifting into new signs gradually. I think probably it's stabilizing in July. I think because Uranus will be, is Uranus the last one that stabilized in the new sign. So this means that we are collectively shifting theme. Yeah, and that's FX generation. So that's one piece, and then we have Fire of Horse. So like something like February is like cool, like February, like okay, just isolating February. Like February is a lot. We have got like Uranus already turned direct, which is doing the sort of last few 2.5 degrees before it moves to I think April to new sign. So like money wise, like financial values, what do we see of values will be shifting and disrupting. Then Fire Horse in 17th of February is so it's horse and fire. So we can feel already the momentum. And now it's the year of the snake. So it's like the final days of like shedding the skin. So some people might feel it more intense, but so everyone just like calm your nervous system. And what I feel predict like the next predict 1.5 year is like more and more important is how we know how to regulate our nervous system, because so many things are changes. How loose we have to hold on to our identities, because a lot of the old identities which I had to go through myself a lot, that they were good. It's not like they're bad like really horrible realities, yeah, but that's also what we were asked, that like, hey, what about instead of okay, good, what about going to amazing? But to go to amazing, we have to like sort of like let go of the comfortable and good mediocrity. So nervous system recalibration is super important, and community, coming into community, in person, yeah, in person. And one last bit I want to do, because there's so many things happening, is on 20th of February, which is very soon. Oh, two pieces. Like, sorry, I don't know when this is going to be released, but on Valentine's Day, we have Saturn moving to from Pisces to Aries. So it's a start of a new zodiac. So Saturn will be is a 3 years in a sign. So it's next. So we can review your last 2 years, like since 2023, what have shifted, what structures, especially in Pisces, what illusions you have to break down, to let go, what kind of boundaries you have to redefine, because Saturn is about that. And moving into Aries, and then on 20th of February, it conjunct with Neptune, Saturn, Neptune in Aries, and at 0 point of Aries. So it's actually, we haven't had this since 9,000 years ago. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, so that's why, sorry, like long story because there's so much information.
no, I love that you
I
mentioned that.
know.
And so what does that mean? Like, what does that mean? That little piece, Ariel, that's like so
Yeah.
pivotal.
Mm.
Yeah, so because in astrology, usually rarity means potency, right? It's because it's like, oh, something is so rare, it affects the whole of humanity, not just us personally, right? Saturn, we have the planet that are about structure, about discipline, a lot of karmic rebalancing, and being our own authority as well. So previously it was in Pisces, the last 2023. It's about like Saturn Pisces is about dissolving our illusion. Right now, okay, illusions are being dissolved, stepping into Aries. Saturn in Aries and Neptune in Aries, and they conjuncting in 0 degree Aries. So Aries is the sign of is the beginning of a zodiac sign, right? So you can think about it's a new chapter, whole new era. And given that we haven't had this for 9,000 years, I think it's something big. It's almost like so big that it's almost like we have to remove a lot of what we think would be. But the energy is going to be next level of our sovereignty, our spiritual leadership. Neptune is spirituality, right? It's visionary. It's dissolving into the unknown, the divine. But we partner with Saturn. It's like yes, it's like spiritual warrior. Like how we take now with Aries together. Aries is about action, our drive, taking initiative. So you can feel it like these three energies combined together at this like cosmic ignition point at 0 degree. Last time Saturn conjunct with Neptune, which is like this is not uncommon. Like these two planets happen. I think we have the Berlin Wall fall down. Yeah, yeah. So that's in history can like really track this. So it'll be interesting to see combined with all these like new shifts that are happening for humanity. I am feeling is more and more we come back into our sovereign spiritual leadership, especially around spirituality. Is more like instead of going out for guru, like we come back into our inner teacher. And taking action as well. It's not like just living in the air, because when we're in Pisces previously was like we have a lot of dreams, we have a lot of like we want to take a lot of actions, but it's just like it's not taking, it's not like it's not really flow, it's just about flow. Now it's like we have a trident planned down with the Neptune trident planned down, taking actions, our sovereignty and our leadership, and putting structures, because Saturn is about structures, not just like speaking and dreaming right now. It's concrete actions manifest in the physical plane.
Mm.
Yeah. So I invite everyone to see how that plans out. And you can also look at where that particular houses will be. Like if you know your astrology, can translate, look at the transit of different houses, that means different areas of life, that this combination of energy will be more present. Say for me, actually, that will happen. That conjunction happened in my own seventh house, which is the house of relationship, partnership, especially one-on-one partnership. That's because Neptune is already in Aries right now. And that's already like, so I could feel the way how I want to be treated in relationship, what I call it as a client, as clients, or how I in romantic relationship, in partnership, already like, now I'm like gonna say exactly what I want.
Yes.
And
Dissolving the people pleasing. Yeah, yeah.
and and so
So
for someone to discover which house that
Mm.
combination is happening, my
yeah.
understanding is that they look at their forecast chart for that date and they
Mm.
see where Neptune lands in the house. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
so it's we call it the transit. So usually it will looks like something like this, right? So for those you have the app. I don't know if there's any free app that does it. Oops, sorry. So the inner circle, you
What's
can
this
make it.
app? What is
This
this
is
app?
Astro Gold. Astro
Astro.
Gold.
I think I'm
Gold.
pretty sure you can do it on Astro Cafe, I think it's called,
I
where you
think
can look up like you can look up your chart and
yeah.
forecast it for a different date. Yeah.
Yeah, I think also maybe astro.com that will be probably free as well. So what it does is actually you have your like you have a natal chart, right? That's the inner wheel and then inner circle, and then you can plot the what is the stars right now or prediction
Mm.
like particular dates, then is the outer wheel, the second. So it will look something like that.
Mhm.
For
Oops.
those of you that
Yeah.
are listening and not looking at the video, she's
Oh yeah,
looking at a
sorry.
she's looking at
I'm
a
used to doing Zoom. Sorry, thank you.
That's okay. We have both. So there will be some tuning in on YouTube, but there will also be some on Spotify. And so if they're not watching the video, it's an astrology chart. So for those of you who have seen
Yes.
them before, it's like a circular form. And so if you look up your astrology chart on any of the different platforms, you will receive this kind of circle that places all of the different planets at your birth time and stuff like that. So she's just showing an image of the birth chart. And so ultimately it looks like a birth chart and it has like the transits. So where things are placed in that particular moment in time. And then it compares it, well, it places it over your natal chart, is it? Or like something? Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So you can see like the inside is your natal chart. So you have your inner planets, like the planets that when you were born, so you know the locations. And then you plot the transit, like what is happening, at certain particular timing, whether it's now or in the future, you or even back, you can look. And so I should look back in 2025. That happened to me. What was actually in the stars? Then you can also see the patterns because astrology is about patterns, a study of patterns in mathematics in a way, right? And excuse me. So you can so the astrology is like the astro chart is in 12 houses. That actually is 12 aspects of your life. You have one aspect is about relationship. One aspect is about like your spirituality, for example. So when you look at these kind of charts online, you will have your birth chart, and then you can just usually you can add as you can also add as a second wheel, which is the outside wheel, to see the transit. It's like almost like yeah, what is happening in the star right now or certain point. Then you will see what they fall on different houses and what kind of aspects is actually making to your original natal chart. So that is another piece of information. I think a lot of these website or platform, usually when you plot that, they usually give you some information as well. So yeah,
Mhm.
so you can also like get some hints for you to contemplate on. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Mm.
I don't know about all the listeners, but I certainly want to log on and have a look and see
Yeah,
where
me
mine
too.
is
I do as
landing.
well.
And I want,
I've got one, I've
yeah,
got
go.
one more question. Um, and that is, we talked of the year of the closing door. How would you describe, you've talked about sovereignty and you've talked about releasing ourselves from victimhood and creating structures. How would you describe this year, 2026, as the year of the closing door?
It's beautiful. It's an invitation for us to Well, if people haven't started their inner work, maybe it's a good time to start. Yeah.
There it is.
Because first is a good time to start because also with Neptune and Saturn into that that with Aries conjunction, right? In the sign of Aries, it's really about like we have to take actions about our spirituality, about our nervous system. So it's a lot about it's an action year because previously I think like we were not quite sure dream state, but right now it's like we know that where we're heading. So I wouldn't say like okay, in case someone's being afraid about the FOMO missing out, okay, don't. We're not here to broadcast the frequency of FOMO. I mean, you don't miss out, right? If you don't do all your inner work, but feel that like first I think like reorient ourselves as what timeline we want to align with. One thing I will actually invite people to, of course, like watch less, fewer news. That's one thing. Some simple actions. So I think people might think that oh, spirituality is such a like difficult and like something that is like it's a separate compartment of our life. But you're a spiritual being, so it's all about like everyday actions. What do you do? How you spend your energy, how you spend your precious life force, what focus you give. Are you giving your sacred life force in terms of your focus to doom scrolling or finding narratives that because we are right all the time. Whether you're right about the world is ending, we're taken over by AI, or we are thinking about we're heading golden age, we are all right because these are all timelines that exist in the multidimensional quantum reality. Sovereignty asks us right now is like your trident. Where are you planting your trident? That what timelines you are anchoring in, knowing that yeah, all timelines exist. If people want to like go into World War III, yeah, there is that reality. But is that what you choose? You can be right, but I'd rather be right and happy than right and sad. So
Totally. Choose what you'd like to be right about.
exactly. Yeah. But right now, I understand that it's difficult. I mean, I'm also a human. Sometimes, like my human was like, yes, my multidimensional, my higher self was telling me all this. I could see in my vision, in my own heart, that the reality was stepping into. But when you look at the surrounding reality, sometimes like I'm still dealing with the like I'm still choosing to live in the fourth dimension reality. Right, there is certain mechanics. There is certain mechanics. It takes a lot of courage. That's why Aris is also asking us to take courage.
Mm.
Courage in our own hearts, and that's why who you associate with is also very important because your environment really affects you, right?
Mm.
There are choices that we have to make, like how we spend our time, like whether it's about what information or energy we look at, we receive information from, and who we hang out with.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah,
And the,
so
and
yeah,
what I receive from that is the more that we choose what we want, the more we see what we want.
exactly.
And
Yeah,
therefore, we can be told that it's something else, but we will just still look around and see what we want, or
yeah,
more of what we want than not what we want.
yeah,
Totally.
yeah.
And I
And
feel like,
consciously choose. It's a
Yeah.
day by, it's a moment by moment action. It's not like I choose it once and I'm done. I wish it's that easy. I have to go through my own human journey as well. But it's the courage, right? That's why Iris is inviting us to yes, activate your lion's heart,
mm,
like
I
that
think
that yeah,
I feel like right now is such a pertinent time to highlight how many times we have to make that choice every day.
Mm.
Because I feel like if you were to look at the reality right now and all of the different things that are happening in multi different areas of the planet and what's happening politically and all these things, you could have this perception that we are ending in doom. And
yeah,
when you speak about these pieces of the sovereignty and the trident and the dissolution of this guru template that we've been running for a long time, you can see and start to perceive the current landscape to be, excuse me, preparing us for that. Because everything that is happening appears to be really bad or negative or dense or what have you. And as a collective consciousness, we have to dissolve and break down and recreate the structures of our reality at a collective level in order
Yeah.
for all of these things to be made available. And so I think it's
Yes.
a really beautiful point that you make, that be really conscious of what you're attuning to
Yeah.
and what you're choosing to make that mean. Because I feel like there's so many people that are looking at the landscape right now and be like, oh my God, how can I possibly imagine that the golden age is coming when this is the current reality?
Yeah.
And I watched
Yeah.
a video from someone the other day talking about Trump, and obviously he is creating a lot of havoc, and a lot of people have a opinion about how he is or what he's creating. And this video of this person was basically talking about his mission, which is to disrupt everything. And when we look at that and we look at the disruption, that is what we need in order to anchor our sovereignty, because any aspect of us that is looking to the government in order to save us, any aspect of us that is looking to someone else to hold any responsibility for our reality, we have to look at those systems in a different way to how we have in order for our perspective to change. And so at that collective level of sovereignty, it's like we can't look to the government to solve our problems anymore. And it's going to completely restructure our reality. And the areas that, as you said about the courage, right now is a really courageous time to choose to see the good, choose to see that those structures need to be dismantled. You don't have to like who's doing it. You don't even have to like how it's being done. But the totality of the recognizing that the structures are currently broken and that they're not working to our advantage and they're not treating humanity as sovereign beings, that full restructure has to happen, and it's never going to be pretty. Like, it's just part of when we see like those rebirths that we have as individuals, they're usually not very pretty, and we have to like kind of grin and bear it through the process. But our perspective supports how easeful or challenging it is, because we can be going through a really hard time and we can perceive the silver lining, we can perceive the magic that's happening, we can perceive what we're being invited into. And if we focus on that, then it doesn't feel quite as intense as what it does when we're only focused on, oh my gosh, everything's a real problem right now, I can't see out of this. And the same is true for our greater reality. And the more of us that consciously make that choice, I think the more easeful it gets to be for all of us. Mm.
Yeah. I love your passion. That was exactly.
It
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was good.
Yeah. And I want to, if we still have time, I want to expand on, like, add a little bit, another layer on that.
Yeah, add
Is
another
that,
layer.
yeah. And because like interesting, like, because for me, I have you guys, right? I have my own like woo woo like galactic friends that like we operate in a little bit of different frequency field. So sometimes I wonder, like, but I'm also always guided by Council of Light, like you have to engage with humanity. But also, oh yeah, but okay, but it says a discernment. I have to interact more with people because I could be a line two, I'm a hermit. I could just be in my own space. You give me a computer, I'm fine. I can interact with my soul family all around the world. But I'm here to live a very, very human and happy life, you know. So I was guided to go to meet a lot of people here in Dubai. And interesting enough, I think we touched on this before we started this conversation about Dubai. It's because usually people don't think it's like, "Oh, why would you go to Dubai? What draw you there?" And etc. And I will go into all these places and meet with people. I feel for them because for me it's like I know for sure that we are heading to golden age. This for me is like I'm here for that. I'm not here for like suffering. Like that's the only option. I'm here for golden age. But that remembrance only got activated a few years ago, 2020. Right before that, I was just like them. That I don't remember what I'm here for, and I feel for them because it is very scary for people who have no framework of what is happening.
Mm.
See, for us, we have an
Yeah.
idea that oh yeah, there is another timeline of we heading golden age. But when people, most of them, they don't have this framework to fall back to or like remember. So they just what they see is what they see. What they know is what they see. So I felt for them, and sometimes like it's what when I went out, it's more like I also know that like I cannot just directly share about like like all these multidimensional information is gonna fire their brain and they're not ready to receive. So all I do is just me sharing my presence, just like it's an energy field, and hope that like if in some way that like I can help them, that'd be great if they want to work with me, say more intense deep level. But like I'm so happy that like say you guys are doing podcasts, because this is one great way to reach more people. Like I'm very, very honored to be here, because this is how we just one piece at a time to help greet to down like reach more people about, yes, hey, it's not just doom and whatever, there are other perspective, maybe you want to explore it. An
Mm.
invitation. Yes, we are at choices, and it does help me when I have this framework to understand where we're heading. Otherwise, it's just very, very, very dark. I know for some people. Yeah.
Mm.
So just
I
want to
think
add
that's
that.
such a beautiful way for us to complete. Thank you so much for saying that, Ariel.
Mm. Surround yourself with people that have a different perspective.
Yeah.
Surround yourself with people whose perspective feels like it offers you light, feels
Mm.
like it offers you hope and faith in something other than maybe what you currently see. And if you have the opposite experience where you're hanging around with people that are feeling like you walk away going, oh my gosh, life's world's going to end, then maybe recognize that that is impacting you, in the same way that Ariel speaks to. Yeah. And I mean, the relationships piece that you've spoken to, Ariel, of this piece has actually been a big conversation of a few conversations that I've had over the last week of these new standards of relationship. And the way that I always create who I'm going to spend time with is, do I walk away from them feeling inspired for life, excited, in more faith and magic about what's being created? Or do I walk away feeling exhausted and dense? And don't get me wrong, sometimes your people that normally inspire you are having a tough time and you can be around them and you don't walk away feeling as inspired as normal. But in the higher percentage of your interactions with these people, you get to choose, like, is this serving me and supporting me? And like, is this a reciprocal experience or not? And like you said, we get to choose. And to me, it's an extremely important part of my choosing the standards of the relationships and the people that I interact with and how I interact with them and the degree in which I interact, the level of intimacy that I have with certain people. And I love that you brought that piece in. It's so important. Mm.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, because I think like a lot of us are very afraid to let go of people, because we
Yeah.
want to be nice, we want to support it, but it's also like how much capacity we have first, right? Like I know that like when I'm going through a lot myself, I need to take care of myself first. But of course, when I take care of my nervous system, when my cup is filled, then I am be able to hold more people, hold more energy, and hold more different dissonance. Then I can be there and hold that, but anchoring our energy in the high vibrational field that we don't get dragged down.
Mm.
It's almost like we're there to bring them up rather than, yeah, bring them back. I think one piece that Council of Light shared with me, because this is a template that I had it before, and maybe others might also have. So I feel called to share these pieces. We think that we have to cut people out, cut people off. When I said that, like, oh, some relationship you have to let go, a lot of times it just is more like just letting it happen rather than like cutting it. Because my previous model like of operation is that like, all right, you're not like, you don't talk about, like, we don't have the same interests or inspirations or insight, and then I just cut people off, or they don't treat me, I cut people off, like. But it's like, oh, there's more graceful way. I don't have to cut them off, but I can just like, I can still just allow that. If there's no resonance for now. It doesn't mean that I don't love them. Doesn't
Mm.
mean that I don't say my family, right? I don't have to cut them off, but I also know that like we have a different way of lifestyle and thinking. I'm the unicorn of my family. I can love them, I can, but I, of course, I don't mean them harm or whatever. But I just feel like, we have different life.
Mm.
And when I have the capacity to hang out with you guys, when I feel my cup is full, yeah, then we have a beautiful time and might not even talk about anything that is remotely related to what I am interested in. But sometimes I'll just do like silly thing, and so we're here to enjoy all the different types of human experiences. Yeah, it's not about like the interest that we share, but how it's about the feelings, the love that we have for each other, even though we might feel different. We don't talk about the same thing, the same interest, but like are we uplifting each other? Yeah.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah, I remember the time when I had to stop resisting other people's realities, and that made a really big change in my relationships where we weren't on the full same page because I stopped needing them to agree with me or to think the same way that I think. And then all of a sudden those relationships shape shifted into something far more graceful and easeful, particularly for the people that I really love and want in my life, but there isn't as much resonance with some of the kind of larger pieces of our reality. And I totally agree with not needing to cut people off. And the amount of times that I've caught myself going to reach out to someone to kind of reconnect with them and realize that I'm doing it from like all these places that are not what I said, where it's like, oh, this is a really aligned, resonant relationship, but like this, either like, oh, I don't want them to think I don't like them, or oh, we've had this friendship for this really long time, and so I really should keep it going, and these places that are not actually a really good reason to recreate or rekindle a connection that's maybe created a bit of space. And each time I capture that and I just pause and I go, is this something that I really consciously want to cultivate? And if the answer is no, like you said, naturally there's just this kind of fading that happens. And what that gives me the ability to have is when we do see each other randomly, there's still love and no there's amicability, there's like a genuine curiosity about how they are without a need for it to be anything more.
Or it gives the opportunity for the relationship to morph into
Yes,
something new,
exactly.
and for us to be able to create something different that
Mm,
is in resonance with ourselves. But there's the courage that you're talking about with the Aries again, is the
mm,
courage to let go and allow that to die so
mm,
that the new can be rebirthed in whatever way it's supposed to be. And that's what I
mm,
got from this conversation. This last piece of the conversation is when we're acting in love, where we're giving that love to ourself and we're in that feeling body, and we're saying, how does this feel? How does this resonate for me? And we get to move from that place, which just changes everything. It changes our world and it changes the world.
yeah.
Amazing.
Well, this has been a super
Beautiful.
fun conversation.
Absolutely.
It has. It's been so fun.
Thank you so much, Ariel, for joining us today and for
So
bringing your
much.
wisdom and all these different threads that we have not spoken about on the podcast before, and bringing your particular flavor of your ascension magic. It's been really fun.
Thank you. My
Yeah.
pleasure.
Yeah.
It's
Thank you
Yeah.
so
wonderful.
much.
Thanks for
And
having me.
and thank you everyone for tuning in. We would love to hear any reflections, comments, questions. You can reach us on our socials, and we'd love to hear any feedback. And so thanks again for joining us, Ariel, and we'll wrap it up there.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
Bye.
you.
Thank you. Bye.